Broncos control their own destiny. They have for the past couple of weeks now, but it's today the day that the Broncos finally clinch their playoff berth. I don't know. We'll break it down. We have a lot to talk about. I'm hopeful, but we'll see how this thing goes. I'm Todd Davis. I'm here with my boy Knowshon Moreno and my guy Henry, aka Hank, aka Young Santa.
Young Santa, yeah, it's not as long anymore.
If you guys are, coming to watch the game or come to the bar, you guys better hurry up because it's getting packed. There's not going to be many seats here left, so it's going to be a good game. Hopefully the Broncos clinch their first playoff berth in 9 years. It's been a long drought, but we'll see how do you guys feel about the game? Are you guys optimistic? No, Sean, I'll start with you because you know what I'm saying.
Okay. That's a first.
You love the
Start with me first. I don't know, man. This is not a team to sleep on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, when it comes to Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. So we're going to see what these guys can do. You know what I mean? I think last week when it came to the game versus the Chargers, man, we were all hopeful that they can just do it then. Man. You know what I mean? Get that thing out the way. Mm-hmm. But we fell short, and there was a lot of different things why I think the Broncos fell short. But the main thing that I think a lot of us talked about was some of the play calls, the coaching. You know what I mean? Sean Payton and the crew. So we're going to see what they can do, versus a really good, offensive team. You can kind of sleep on their defense, maybe. They got a couple players, can't lie. And that they got something that they're playing for as well, right? So we're going to see what's up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to look in the past, but not winning that game last week, some people called it a must-win, some people didn't. But I feel like when you don't win that game, you put so much pressure on yourself for every game the rest of the season. So now it's kind of like make or break time. They're not slouches. The Chiefs won't be slouches. I don't care if Patrick Mahomes is playing or not.
Right.
Like now these games put a lot more pressure on your team, and you got to find a way to win.
Yeah, I feel better about this game than I thought I would.
Yeah?
I woke up this morning feeling a little bit confident.
I guess because you found out it wasn't going to be raining, so now you have hope.
that helps. That helps for sure. All week I kind of thought that this was going to be. I mean, we know it's going to be a tough one, but I just had a tough time seeing the Broncos pull it out. If the Broncos run the ball like they did in that first half against the Chargers, they're going to have a real chance to win. And I think that this run defense is probably worse than the one that they faced last week when they played the Chargers. So the formula seems to be right there. It just, can you run for 150, 175 yards today?
Ooh.
It's a big number, but I think it's what you got to, when you're trying to beat passing by running the ball, you better run for a big number.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we say that every week, though, I feel like, when it comes to the running backs.
True.
And not only that, that's why I said, we talked about Sean Payton and the play calling. They stopped running the ball last week. You know what I mean? We were averaging 4 to 5 yards a carry, and you didn't see it anymore. I mean, in different situations that happen in the game, you might have to pass more because you're down, whatever the case may be. But you still got to show it. You still got to do it, right? I don't know. I think you saying you're hopeful to see the run game. I just still don't see it, man. I just don't see them. Do we have a 100-yard rusher today, finally? Do we?
No. Because we share the rock too much. So I don't think we'll have a 100-yard rusher. But, I remember this phrase, like, even the broken clock is right twice a day. So I know we've been hopeful and we've been wrong 99% of the time. But I think at some point it has to happen. Like, they have to be able to put together a solid running game for 4 quarters.
I don't think there's going to be a 100-yard rusher. I wouldn't be surprised if you have like 3 30-yard rushers. 30 plus. One of them probably goes for 60, but with Jaleel and Audrey, I mean, Bo is in there too.
Right.
Like, I think that they just have enough guys who can move the ball. One of them's got to get hot today.
Yes.
Hot enough to at least take the 12 carries so the other guys can each have 6 or whatever.
Well, luckily the Broncos get a solid running back in Jaleel McLaughlin. He's back.
Yeah.
He's no longer inactive. He's back in the lineup, so I think he'll be, hopefully a good push that the Broncos need to kind of get their running game moving. Also, off the inactive list is Riley Moss. Riley Moss is back. Huge piece for the Broncos. The Broncos' pass defense did not look the same without him. And we were definitely missing his presence. So we're getting some good guys back. We're getting some starters back. I think it's important for us to have those guys back going into this game. Who do you think is a bigger piece coming back?
Come on. You know it's going to be Riley Moss for sure, man. We saw, those couple of games that we missed him and how it looked, right? But some of the young guys really stepped up, and played that role really well. Got him back healthy.
Yep.
But, you want to have all your weapons, especially on the defensive side and the best side of the football for this Denver Broncos team, because that offensive side I still don't know too much about. You know what I'm saying? So, but no, I think getting Riley Moss back is definitely going to help us, especially today going against, Chase, but T. Higgins on the other side, right? So is he rusty when he comes back? We don't know. I don't think so, right? But hopefully the legs are fresh enough that he'll be out there doing his thing.
Yeah, I hope he comes back and really comes back just how he left, like on fire, locking guys down. I'm playing really good football because T. Higgins is no slouch. And there's definitely going to be a lot of throwing the ball today. We thought it was going to be rainy.
Yeah.
It's not going to be rainy. It's going to be 60, overcast, a beautiful day for football. So let's go out to Zach. He's there live in the stadium. Give us a little bit of an update on the weather and the inactives.
The Denver Broncos couldn't have asked for better weather out here in Cincinnati for an end of December game. The Broncos were preparing for rain all week here, and there's no rain in the forecast until after their game is over. We're looking at 60s and 50s throughout the entire game. It's going to be cloudy. It's going to look like this, but no rain is supposed to happen, which I think benefits the Denver Broncos. That will mean that Joe Burrow is going to be able to throw the ball at his will, but the Broncos have Riley Moss back, and unfortunately the Bengals have T. Higgins back. He was active. He was listed as questionable. He is playing, but the Broncos have Riley Moss, which is huge for this game. And of course, everyone's going to be looking at Riley Moss and T. Higgins, but everyone's going to be looking at the other side of the field with Jamar Chase and Pat Surtain II. And the last time these two faced off, Pat held Jamar for one catch for 3 yards. If he does that again this week, the Broncos will win in a landslide. But Jamar Chase right now is a Triple Crown leader, leading in touchdowns, receiving yards, catches. So he's going to be a tough one to stop. Just limit him. You don't have to absolutely shut him down, but limit him. His over-under's at 93.5 over at Bet365. The Broncos hold him under that. It's a very good chance that they win this game. And good news, the weather is looking good today. We saw Blake Watson last week. He is inactive with Jaleel McLaughlin back. So we'll see if Jaleel gets the start like he did 2 games ago before he was hurt. And we'll see if the Broncos are able to not only win today, but clinch a spot for the playoffs. The first time that that's happened in almost a decade. And the last time the Broncos clinched a playoff spot, it was against Cincinnati. It was the second to last week of the season. It was coming off a 34-27 loss, and the Broncos could have that exact same thing happen today. We'll see if it's destiny in just a few minutes.
All right, Zach, thank you, man. We definitely hope history repeats itself and the Broncos find a way to clinch and punch their ticket into the playoffs. Before we go any further and dive into these key matchups, I got to tell you about our friends over at Coors Light. Coors Light is the only beer that is made to chill. Between work, social media, and the choices Light throws your way, it's no wonder why people are more worked up. You can choose Coors Light and celebrate your life and choose chill. We keep Coors Light on the set. I think Knowshon has a Coors Light right there in his hand. We're all enjoying Coors. Hank has a Coors Light as well, and you know that's ready for you and the crew when those mountain turns blue. So you can get Coors Light delivered straight to your door through Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. Celebrate responsibly, Coors Brewing Company in Golden, Colorado. Now, this matchup that we have between Jamar Chase and Pat Surtain has been talked about all week. Maybe the best corner versus the best wide receiver in the NFL right now. How do you guys see this matchup shaking out?
I think Pat's going to win. I actually just made a Defensive Player of the Year bet on Pat. It's like plus 350. I figured you do that now because, in my opinion, he's either going to win the award today or it's kind of over. Because this is the game everybody's watching. This is the best receiver will play all year. If he goes out there, shuts him down, gets a pick, he might be the front runner tonight. And I think he has a good chance to do that.
I do think it's a big-time game for him,
for sure.
Especially for him trying to be the defensive player because it's so hard for corners to do. You have to have, not only be a lockdown corner, but you have to make unbelievable plays and really make game-changing plays in prime time So if he wants that, I think this is a huge game for him to do it.
Right, and does he follow him around the field? I don't know, right?
Yeah.
They're going to do different things to obviously get Jamal open, you know what I mean? And get him on different defenders that is not as good as a Surtain, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, right? So I'll be interested to see how they're going to do that. You know what I mean? Is he going to stay on one side and say we're good? Riley can to handle it as well. And maybe he gets one big play here and there, but Riley can handle it. Or does he follow him around? But I think it'll be a good one.
Yeah.
I think with Riley back, my game plan would be just have Pat follow him.
Okay.
Riley kind of follow T. Higgins. And just have, T. Higgins kind of dealing with a little bit of a hammy. Riley's coming back from his knee. Neither of them are 100%, but it's still good on good.
Right.
That's just what I would do, because I feel like the moment you get Jamar Chase on Riley, even though Riley's playing really good football, I think Joe Burrow's going right there with the football.
Right.
I'm curious how aggressive Vance will call this defense too, because sometimes when you play teams with these good receivers and Joe Burrow, it's a little bit scary to blitz them just because you could be giving up big plays.
Yeah, of course.
But also, it seems like anytime they run that soft zone coverage,
We get whooped.
Right. Exactly. So I think you just have to be aggressive and attack them and hope it works out.
Well, that was the fortunate part with the Broncos this year. They haven't had to play many great quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, let's be real. I mean, Mahomes, okay, great quarterback, but he's not having the best year. And then you go to, Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
We saw what happened in that game. So now we have another great quarterback coming in, right? We're talking about someone that beats Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs every time they play, it seems. So it's going to be interesting, to see, like you said, to see how they attack him. He can get the ball out or do whatever he has to do to get the ball in the right hands of people. So it's going to be really interesting.
So are you not optimistic about the Broncos stopping Joe Burrow?
Not necessarily. I mean, and they got a decent run game as when it comes to Chase Brown.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you see that sometimes can hurt this defense if you just go straight at them, up the gut. We've got hit in a couple big plays in the run game. You know what I mean? And I don't think those running backs were better than Chase. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think so. So it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of play that game back and forth, that pass versus the run game, and then how the defense, this Broncos defense covers it.
Yeah, because I don't want to get stuck in spots where we have to defend the pass and all of a sudden they're running the ball
Right.
and we're not able to adapt and make tackles. Because, Chase Brown, he's not a top-tier running back, but he almost has 1,000 yards. He's a solid back.
He'd start for the Broncos, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he would.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So he's definitely somebody we got to stop.
So how your linebackers going to cover this deal? You know what I'm saying? Because
Cover
your
what?
linebackers like to jump around blocks. Are they going to be doing that again today?
They can't. Not
right.
today. Because if they do it today, I think we're going to get gashed. Like, there was a few plays last week where we should have been more physical, more downhill, and we weren't. And I think that resulted in, big plays.
And
even though we were in the right gap, quote-unquote,
Right.
there's also a way that you have to fill that gap. You know what I'm saying? You just can't be in the right hole. You got to fill the hole.
Oh, for
Pause.
sure. Yes,
You know
sir.
what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
That's important.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about Riley Moss and T. Higgins. T. Higgins is a really good wide receiver. Do you guys feel like he'll do a good job against Riley Moss today?
I'm scared. He's 11th in the NFL in receiving yards per game. So he's missed some games, but otherwise he would be right up there.
Yeah.
He's just a good, well-rounded receiver. He'd probably be the best receiver on the Broncos. I think. Well, give Court some respect. Give Court some respect. Give me a tie. Court. But I think that most weeks.
I know you didn't like that one.
Man.
He didn't like that
Your
one.
boy Sutton, he's top 10, receiver.
Hey, we see it.
Okay.
Maybe top 9 for T. Higgins. But yeah, I think that you even go through all the teams the Broncos have played against. If those teams had T. Higgins, more often than not, Pat's following T on those teams. And that's just how good he is. So this might be the toughest matchup of the year for Riley. I can't think of another wide receiver too. You don't play the Vikings with Jordan Addison. You don't play Jalen Waddle. You don't play Devontae Smith. So I would say this is the toughest assignment for Riley all year, and he just happens to be coming back off of an injury too, which isn't ideal.
That's the worst part. I think if Riley was playing at a really high level like he was, not injured, I would feel very confident about this matchup. But because he's coming back from injuries, I always feel like there's a little bit of a hurdle you have to get over, right? Do you feel like that?
It just depends. It depends on what kind of injury. I mean, it's ACL, those kind of things. I mean, I can kind of see that. I'm just afraid that like he's going to start a little bit slow because I mean that game speed coming back again. I mean, he's missed 3 weeks.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So yeah, just that game speed again, and you got someone hit you with something. You're like, oh, okay. You know what I'm saying. So I'm just afraid that he'll start a little bit slow. But as far as the injury, I think if he wasn't close to 100 already, like to be able to make those quick adjustments and cover people, they wouldn't play him.
No,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're saying that we're desperate and we need this win, so we need to play him even if he's hurt a little bit.
We're desperate, but I am talking more about what you're saying. How like I feel like he'll start slow. Like by the end of the game, he'll pick it up. I feel like he got to be at least 85-90% right now, especially with those couple weeks off. Because I know he practiced a little bit to start last week.
Yeah.
So there was the potential like if we actually needed that game on Thursday night that he could have played. But I think because we didn't need it per se, you know, it was best to rest him up until this game on Saturday.
They definitely gave him extra time because he missed 4 games. They could have put him on injured reserve and used that roster spot elsewhere if they'd known. So he showed up in practice the first time 2 weeks ago. So you would think that he's further along, especially compared to T. Higgins, who was missing time at practice this week, was questionable all the way up until I think the news broke like the middle of the night last night. So I'd say Riley's probably healthier than T. Higgins at the very least.
All right, it's going to be a good game.
Yeah.
All right, the last matchup I want to talk about is Trey Hendrickson. He's leading the league in sacks right now. He's going up against Garrett Bowles / Mike McGlinchey.
How many holds we get today? My fault.
Over under holds.
Right, over holds. My fault.
He's their best player. He's their best player on defense, and I think if you can stop him, neutralize him, you'll usually have a good game. But even though this defense isn't performing well, he's finding a way to get to the quarterback. So I think it's important for us to have a good day against him.
Yeah, I think we will. I mean, we've gone against some good ends.
Yeah.
This year, you know, you think about a Myles Garrett, you think about a guy like that can really wreck a game.
Yep.
We did decent versus him, you know what I mean? He didn't get to the quarterback, I don't think, that one time that game. And they know. We know, hey, this is their guy.
Exactly.
So it's a little bit more emphasis probably going into this week, you know what I mean? That knowing that we have to stop that. So I think it'll be okay. It's still over under holds for me, though. It's going to be at least 3, right?
Ooh. Who? 3 on who?
Probably total. I don't know. But yeah, so this will be a good one.
He's their only player. I mean, there's nobody else to chip. There's nobody else to double team. There's nobody else to keep extra eyes on. Like, if you neutralize him, it's going to be a good day for our offensive line. So I think it's very simple. Stop him, and you're allow Bo to have time in the pocket, not feel pressure, and I think he'll be all right.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Bo does such a good job avoiding pressure in the first place that. And there really I can't think of any games, at least off the top of my head, where pressure was a big problem. Like, there were points in the game, obviously, where you get sacks that are important, but I haven't felt like there's been a whole game. I'm thinking about that Ravens game. I'm trying to remember, but I remember more so on the other side of the ball. Yeah. Like maybe Steelers beginning of the year, but that's a different Bo at that point anyway. So I think I'm just at the point where edge rushers don't scare me too much for the Broncos. And
Not
that could
anymore.
change at some point. But right now, offensive line's playing well, quarterbacks avoiding pressure. I think that they are as well equipped to deal with somebody like Trey Hendrickson as any team in the NFL. Yeah.
I'm with you. I'll knock on wood just in case.
Yeah, no, it's smart.
I will say
Right.
that. I'm rocking with you. All right, before we get out of here, we got to get into our game changers. Every week we pick somebody who we feel like is going to ball out in the game. Usually it comes with like a beer chug if you're the one who does not pick a game changer. But first, I'll start with my guy, Audric Estime. He's been building up. He's been holding on to the football. And I think that in games like this, the best way to neutralize a great offense is to keep them off the field.
Right,
so
exactly.
if we're able to run the ball really well with Estime, he's able to pound the rock, extend drives. I think that only helps. That helps our offense and it helps our defense. So I think he's going to be my game changer today. I think if he gets 60 yards and a touchdown, it's a really good day for a Broncos running back.
Yeah. No, I love that.
Yeah.
I think that was actually the only player prop I bet in this entire game was just 40 rushing yards for Audric.
I took that too.
You did?
I put it in the parlay.
40 is a good number. I think 40.
Yeah.
That's the thing, though, is it's so low. for a
And
guy
it's
who we think is the
gross.
best running
Yeah,
back.
it's gross. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I've got Pat. I think that this is you need this to be his best game.
Yeah.
Like that's the one way the Bengals beat you is if Jamar Chase beats you, and about half the time he does it. Like that's just the way the season's worked for him. So I think toughest assignment of the year for Pat, most important assignment of the year for Pat, and this is the one that kind of make or break on arguably his best season as a pro. So I think that I'll say he comes away with an interception today. That's what I'm thinking.
I think if he gets an interception, like his odds will go up to win Defensive Player of the Year.
So I took it now.
Like there's nobody that's having an amazing season as an edge rusher. Like Henderson's good, but it's not record breaking.
13.5 sacks.
Yeah.
Nick Bonito needs 2 today to tie him.
Exactly. But I think you talk about like Pat Surtain and what he's done against top tier wide receivers the entire year, as well as getting interceptions, as well as pick sixes. Like he's making a great case for himself if he does have a great game.
But this is definitely the best quarterback wide receiver duo, right? All year.
For sure.
It's got to be.
For sure.
Because, I mean, Pat is easily the best cornerback. Jamar Chase, I said this yesterday on the show, but it's tough for me to say anybody's better than Justin Jefferson. But in every statistical category, Jamar Chase is better this year.
You
so
can
at some
say
point,
he's
you just
having
have
the
to
best
give it
year,
to him.
though.
You probably should.
Yes.
Yeah. He is
I don't
having
know
the
if he's
best
the
year.
best. But, I mean, if he's not the best, he's top 3 or 4.
Would you feel better today if it was Justin Jefferson instead of Jamar Chase playing for the Bengals?
No.
I wouldn't either. I'd feel worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
how much you got?
does that mean that Jamar's ahead of him?
I don't know. This is definitely the best matchup, though.
That's what I'm saying. Like
This is the best matchup.
especially quarterback. I mean, we might have like a Herbert, but then there's not really anyone on the outside.
Yep.
Except what's his name? In the middle, then the slide lad.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like quarterback and receiver is the best duo for sure. So I'm interested to see what Pat Surtain can do for sure. I think I'm gonna go on the other side of the ball though, because we know that matchup is gonna be a good matchup, and they know that as a team as well when it comes to the Bengals, right? So they're gonna say, okay, how else can we win if, of course, Jamar's getting shut down, and I think that's going to be a guy like a T. Higgins or the tight ends, whoever, or their run game, right? They're going to have to go somewhere else, and that's why I look at Riley Moss, man. He's going to have a big game. He might start slow, but he better finish fast, you know what I mean? I see him maybe getting a pick, and he's going to need to play well on the other side, I think, for this Denver Broncos defense to play well and for us to get the win at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I agree. I 100% agree. I just hope he doesn't start too slow. I just hope he comes out a little bit of energy and remembers what it feels like to play 70 plays and start strong. Because we all know the first 15 is the worst. Those are the plays that the offense has designed that they know they can beat you at. If you can weather the storm in the first 15, usually you can have a good day because you can handle everything else the offense throws at you. So it should be good. I think it's going to be a good day for the Broncos. Hopefully they clinch. But before we get out of here, I got to give a shout out to our friends over at Bet365 and tell you guys about our pregame picks. Our pregame picks are presented by Bet365. You can download the Bet365 app and use code DNVR365. Deposit $10 and place a bet of $5 to get $200 in bonus bets and a code for the first 2 months of Out2 Plus, courtesy of Bet365. You must be 21 or older and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Now, during the week, we've been putting together these squad bets.
Yep.
Parlays. You know, they've hit and then been very, very close to hitting, so I think the odds on them are very good. Yeah, can you pull those up for us real quick? So these are our 3 pregame picks that we have together, that we put together to parlay. We had Bo Nix, under 241 yards. I don't know who picked that, but that's not a Bo Leaper. Marvin Mims, 50 yards, plus 260. I took this as a solo bet, and I also took this in the parlay. And the first touchdown, Courtland Sutton, plus 900. Altogether, if you bet $100, that'll make you, what is it, y'all? What are the odds? $12,000. Not a bad return. Yeah, plus 12,000.
Oh.
So you bet 100, you get back 12,100.
12,000,
Stop it.
Yeah.
No,
So-
for real.
Are you putting it on? Did you put it on this time?
Yeah.
All right, good.
So put 100 down. Let's see what happens. If I make $12,000 back, you know what I'm saying? Maybe buy my wife a purse or something.
Hey, that's gonna be fire.
Let's see what happens. But all right, guys, we'll see you guys after the game on the post-game show.
Let's get it.
And we've got watch along.
And we have a watch along.
Me and Eric will be live this entire game.
The entire game.
Plus, hopefully, we can get Todd Knowshon to come over for a bit
I'll
too.
be over there. having a
You'll
beer
probably
and
hear me on the other side.
chicken tenders, but maybe I'll
For
pop
sure.
over for a second.
Okay.
See you guys after the game on the post game show. Much love.
Let's get it.